Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now, me, Anggi Sukma Ningrum, will to present about the copyright protection period in Indonesia, United States, United Kingdom, and Japan. Next. First is about the definition of copyrights. The term copyright was first put forward in the Berne Convention. In the Berne Convention, meaning of copyright not formulated in a separate article, but was implied in Article 2, 3, 11, and 13, whose contents were absorbed in Article 2, junto Article 10, Outer Suite, 1912. And according to Berne Convention 1886, Outer Suite 1912, Article 1 stipulates that copyright is the sole right of the author of the right of those who receive said right for the result of his creation in the field of literature, knowledge, and art to publish and reproduce by bearing in mind the restriction determined by law. And according to Indonesian legal regulation, in law number 28 of 2014, copyright is the exclusive right of the creature that arises automatically based on the declarative principle after a creation is realized in a tangible form without reducing restriction in accordance with statutory provisions. Okay, jumps to the next presentation. Duration of copyrights in Indonesia. The legal basis for copyright in Indonesia is regulated in the Indonesian Copyright Law number 28 of 2014. The validity period of copyright in Indonesia is divided into several categories. The first category is based on the nature of creation. There are original creations. For works that are original, the validity period or terms of copyright protection is as long as the life of the creator and continues for 50 years after the creator dies. If there are more than one creator, the copyright lasts for the lifetime of the last deceased creator and lasts for 50 years thereafter. As for works that are original according to Article 2029, Paragraph 1, Undang-Undang Hak Cipta, there are books, pamphlet, and all other written works like drama or musical drama, and all form of fine arts like painting and sculpture, and batik art, song or music with or without text, architecture, speech, and similar creation like props, maps, and etc. The second is derivative creations. The validity period or terms of copyright protection is 50 years from the time it was first announced or published. According to Article 30, Paragraph 1 and 2, Undang-Undang Hak Cipta, what is included as a derivative work is like computer programs, cinematography, photography, databases, work resulting from the transformation and layout of published papers. Okay, next. This category is based on the copyright holder. There are legal entity. If the copyright holder of a work is a legal entity, then the validity period or terms of protection is 50 years from the time the work was first announced. This applies to all types of works, regardless of their nature, whether original or derivative. And there are country for folk and cultural products such as stories, hikayat, fairy tales, legends, songs, craft, choreography, dance, calligraphy, where the state is the owner of the copyright, the validity period or terms of copyright protection is indefinite. And for work whose creators are unknown and have not been published, or for works that have been published but the names of the creators and or publishers are unknown, the copyright holder is not the state. And the validity period or terms of copyright protection is 50 years from the time the work was first recognized in general. And registration of works. Copyright protection by the state for creation or works begins when the work or creation exists or is realized in real terms, not because it is registered. This means that a creation or work still gets protection by the state before and after being registered. However, the registration of a creation or work is important as an effort to prove if in the future a copyright dispute occurs. And this copyright registration is with the authorized body, namely the Directorate of Copyright, Directorate General of Intellectual Property Rights, or in Indonesia is Ditjen HKI. Registered creators tend to more easily prove their copyright by using documents relating to the registration of work as written evidence in court proceedings. Okay, jump to the next presentation. Duration of copyrights in United States. There are legal bases in United States is the Copyright Act 1790. The term of copyright in the United States according to Chapter 370 U.S.C. and 101 until 1101 is if the they are manufactured that made before 1978 but not published, the copyright effective date is 1 January 1978. They have copyright validity period as long as the creator lived plus 70 years. And if the manufacturer date published between 1923 until 1963, their copyright effective date is on the date it was first published. They have copyright validity period in 28 years with an option to renew for a term of 67 years. If not renewed, enter into the public domain. And if the manufacturer date published between 1964 until 1977, copyright effective date is on the date it was first published, and they have copyright validity period 95 years. And the last is made in, if the manufacturer date is made in 1978 or later, copyright effective date is on fixation date. They have copyright validity period for a single creature as long as the creature lived is 70 years. And for corporate or anonymous creatures, 95 years from publication or 120 years from creation, whichever is shorter. Okay, next. The next is duration of copyrights in the United Kingdom. In the United Kingdom, copyright law is mainly set out in the Copyright Design and Patents Act 1988 or CDPA. There are literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic works. In the term protection in the United Kingdom for works of literature, drama, music, or original art lasts for the life of the years from the end of their death. In the case of co-authorship, the term copyright protection in the work is calculated by reference to the date of death of the last living author. And for film, the copyright on a film expires 70 years after the end of the year of death of the director, scripter, and dialogue writer. A computer of whether score was created specifically for the film. And for broadcast, copyrights in broadcast expires 70 years from the end of the broadcast years. Okay, next. Next is sound recording. The copyright to a sound recording is valid for 50 years from the end date of the year in which it was made of. If published, in this case, 50 years from the end of the year or publication. If a recording is not published during the 50-year period, but is played publicly or otherwise communicated to the public during the time period, the copyright will last for 50 years from the time this occurred. And for typography settings, copyright in the typography of an issue expires 25 years from the end of the year in which the edition was first published. And for unpublished work, if at the time the copyright expires, a work has not been published, the publisher of the next work receives the publication rights equivalent to the copyright. This allows communication to the public, make work available through electronic search system or job broadcasting, or include it on cable programming service. And the publication rights lasts for 25 years after the publication of for the moral rights of paternity and integrity last as long as the copyright to the work remains in force. The moral right to reject false attribution lasts 20 years after the author's death. Okay, next. Next is the duration of copyrights in Japan. The duration of copyright protection in Japan depends on the type of works and the existence status of the author itself. The following is the duration of copyright protection for certain types of works in Japan. It first is about literary, dramatic, musical, and artistic work. The duration of copyright protection is 70 years after the death of the author. And the second is for film work. The duration of copyright protection is 70 years after the death of the director, screenwriter, and music composer involved in making the film. And the third is published for work and sound recording. The duration of copyright protection is 50 years after first being published or recorded. Next. Of right include the right to the right to publish. Moral right cannot be transferred to other parties and only them and that of the creator. Copyright law in Japan stipulates that moral rights are protected for the creator and for the life of the inheritance. Moral rights cannot be transferred or inherited and can only be exercised by the creator or by a person authorized by the creator. The next is duration of economic rights. First, works produced by individuals. Economic rights last for the lifetime of the authors plus 70 years after the author's death. So, for example, if a creator dies at the age of 50, then the economic rights to his work are still valid for 70 years. So the duration of time by the creator is 120 years. And the second is works produced by legal entities. Like economic rights last for 70 years from the time the work is first published. Okay, next. Okay, the last is about the conclusion. The validity period of the copyright of the full country has different arrangement. In Indonesia, it is distinguished according to the nature of the creation and according to the copyright holder, while in the United States varies depending on the date of manufacture. Then for England itself, the period of protection or the term of copyright were varies depending on the type of copyright work and when the work was made. And the term of copyright protection in Japan depends on the type of works and the existence status of the authors. Okay, next. Okay, thank you for the attention and sorry for if I'm making any mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.